Alright, so now we are in our Azure DevOps Service, and today I'm gonna show you a first taste of how to work with the pipelines with the build. So I'm actually gonna create a very super simple build pipeline, and I'm not gonna really tell you the details of the build pipelines because there are so many things to digest in this particular build pipeline, something like agents, hosted agents, and self-hosted agents, and what is the build definition, and what are the different build steps that you can follow with different project templates and stuffs. Those things we'll be discussing in our upcoming videos of this course, but as of now I'm going to be creating the first ever pipeline in this particular course, which is the build pipeline. So as you can see, once I navigate to this particular build, I get this particular page saying there is no build pipelines found for this particular project, because of course we don't have any pipeline yet for this particular project. So I'm going to create a new pipeline here by hitting this new pipeline, and I get what is called as this particular selection, where it says that you're going to choose the Azure DevOps Azure Repo Git or Bitbucket Cloud, or from the GitHub or GitHub Enterprise Server, or any other Git. So you can see that these things actually have a tag saying YAML there, which is nothing but the modern way of configuring your pipelines. Or you can also go with the classical editor. So if I select this classical editor, you can see that this is the older version of Visual Studio Team Service, where you can actually configure things. So it's pretty much exactly the same thing, even while Azure DevOps Service released yearly last year as a preview, they actually had only this kinds of options. They did not really had the option that we saw just now. So now everything has been moved to the newer way. So actually I'm gonna tell you how to work with the newer way first, and then we'll jump into the classical way, because many people still prefer to work with the classical way of working with it. So I'm just gonna create a new pipeline here, and then you can see that it's gonna ask me where is your code. So if you remember, our code is actually sitting in this particular repository, which we worked in our previous video. So I'm actually going to choose the Azure Repo Cloud, and you can see it asks me which project I'm going to work with. Of course, it's Udemy course project, and this is the code that I'm going to work with, the Udemy course project. So once I select this, you can see it's going to ask me configure your project. So basically it's now asking me what type of project is this, and what is the thing that you're going to choose to configure the execution of this particular code base. So I know that this is an ASP.NET Core project, and it is not even a full framework project. It's a complete .NET Core project. I can select that. Or if your project, you think that it's going to be a different project, something like Android and C++, or Go or Gradle, you can keep on choosing that. You can see that there are so many different programming language which is being supported by Azure DevOps Service. So I'm actually going to choose the ASP.NET Core because I know that this is the language of my project. So I'm just going to choose this guy. And once I select this, you can see that Azure DevOps Service is super clever, and it is automatically creating a YAML file for me over here. And it says that this is the trigger for the master branch, and this is the pool. You can see that this is something I have not even discussed. It is coming in, so just hold tight. We are going to be discussing about that. And this is the VM image, or the virtual machine image, which is nothing but the Ubuntu latest. Again, where is this coming from? We'll be talking about that as well in our upcoming videos. And then this is the variable. It says build configuration as release. Where is this variable coming from? We'll be talking about that as well. And then there are some steps, something which says script as this, which is going to be for the .NET build, and there is some build configuration. Again, what is this particular dollar of the build configuration? Pretty known variable. Again, we can actually configure any number of variables we want. We can create custom variables as well, but as of now these are the default variables which is available within Azure DevOps Service. So this is what is this, right? So everything is in here. I'm just gonna save and run without changing anything here, and then I'm just gonna commit directly to the master branch. Cool. And you can see that it is now committing to the master branch, and it's gonna say what are you gonna be doing. So I'm just gonna say first execution. So I have not made any changes here, so maybe the first execution of build makes more sense. I'm just gonna save and run. So this way it is gonna add or commit a change into the master branch. As you can see, there is this particular hash, and it is currently committing it, and it has automatically got an agent. And you can see that this agent that we're talking about is actually an agent which is hosted within the Microsoft server. And you can see what happened here for the checkout. It actually checked out my code from that particular source, which is nothing but the Azure Automation, executive@devazure.com, which is cool, from this particular project. And it is now doing a .NET build release. And you can see that the UI is pretty cool as well, and it shows you what's really happening behind the scene. You don't really have to refresh. You can see the follow trail is automatically selected, and that's why the follow trail just shows you what's really happening behind the scene with our code execution. And since this is an Ubuntu machine, you can see the path of your code is actually a little bit different compared to Windows. So if you are from Windows, you probably see like C colon or maybe D colon, something like that. Those things are not here. All right, it has been completed here, which is cool. So you can see the job has been finished, and report the build status. So you can see that the build status for commit is also being done. And now if I go to the summary, you can see that it shows me what other thing happened for the particular build. It shows all the changes over here, and it shows the build pipeline succeeded, which is pretty awesome. So there is no test for this particular code yet. We have to configure things. I have not did that, and you can see that the log has been created. Pretty awesome as well. So everything is working as expected. So this is how we can actually create our first build pipeline using the Azure DevOps pipeline. And now you can see like what are the things which has happened over here. So I can directly go to the analytics. You can see that if there is any pipeline failure, it's going to show that to me, or if there is a test failure, it's going to show that to me, and the durations. And you can also queue new build from here if you want, and you can add this to favorite if you want, and all those stuffs. So I can also do an edit, and then I can make the changes. Again, this is exactly the same thing that we saw during the creation of the build pipeline. And if you feel like you're going to add some more steps here, you can do that as well. For instance, if you want to copy a file from a folder that you are creating, for instance, if you go to the build that we have over here, and if I go to this particular build, probably I'm just gonna duplicate this particular tab because it's kind of very, very important. And if I go to the .NET build release here, you can see this is actually sitting in the home VSTS of /1 of yes of the Selenium test, and similarly the EA demo app. So if for some reason I want to take this particular EA app of the CS project, and then I want to do some stuffs here, then probably what I can do is I can just do a copy of this from here, and then I can go to the build, and I'm gonna hit the edit, and over here I can just say I need to perform a copy, and you can see once I search for a task, I can select any one of the tasks that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna copy a file of the source directory. So basically the source directory I'm gonna be copying is from the agent, which is nothing but the agent .build directory. I can do that as well. / I'm gonna paste this guy, so it's gonna be like /s, so this is the folder, /EA app, and probably I don't really need to have this particular guy. So once this is probably built, it is gonna be sitting in the bin folder of the particular project. So maybe I'm gonna say bin /release /netcore app 2.0. So if I go over here, let's see, where is this building? Yep, so it is going to be in this particular place, of netcore app 2.1, so it's not 2.0. So I'm going to do that, and then the target folder is going to be the build artifact staging directory. This is the place where it's going to hold that particular stuff. So I'm just going to be doing that, and I'm going to create a location maybe as app directory or something like that. So I'm just gonna add this, and you can see that it creates a task for me over here, and it says that this is the copy file target. So you can keep on adding all these stuffs from here, and then once you run this, it is going to be creating a copy task, and then you can also do a publish if you want, and all those stuffs from using this particular YAML file. So we'll be discussing about that in our next video, but after that we'll be discussing about all these different concepts in much greater detail.